Some stories aren't told outright. They're revealed in the pauses, the body language, the silence, and the narratives that never quite add up. From the moment Meghan stepped into the royal spotlight, something shifted. The energy changed. The media tone hardened. And suddenly every interaction was dissected, reframed, and weaponized. Why was Meghan treated so differently? Why did Harry's happiness seem to unsettle an institution built on hierarchy and control? And why do the same narratives resurface whenever the Sussexes succeed? From the moment Meghan entered the royal family, Kate's behaviour revealed a calculated strategy rooted in deep-seated jealousy and insecurity that has only intensified over time. Kate's initial coldness toward Meghan was not a matter of royal protocol or cautious reserve. It was a deliberate campaign of exclusion, stemming from her realization that Harry had found someone who possessed the very qualities she herself lacked: eloquence, intellect, authentic star power, and the ability to captivate public attention effortlessly. The jealousy manifested in Kate's unwelcoming treatment, which wasn't unique to Meghan, but had been a pattern with all of Harry's girlfriends, as she had long harboured expectations that Harry would remain available and dependent on her and William's inner circle. What Kate failed to anticipate was that Meghan would not retreat like the others, and rather than accept this reality, Kate's envy transformed into resentment that festered beneath the surface of polite interactions. Behind closed palace doors and through carefully orchestrated media narratives, Kate worked to undermine Meghan's position, all while projecting an image of grace and propriety to the public. A masterclass in performative civility masking genuine hostility. The irony is that Kate's desperate attempts to maintain control and superiority through subtle cruelty and calculated distance only served to highlight her own insecurities, while Meghan, secure in Harry's love and her own worth, simply moved forward and built a meaningful life, away from the toxicity that Kate and William cultivated, leaving Kate's jealousy looking increasingly petty and pathetic in retrospect. From the moment Kate first encountered Meghan, a profound sense of threat took hold. Not because of any action Meghan had taken, but because of everything she inherently possessed. Meghan's intelligence, eloquence, and undeniable star power cast an immediate shadow over Kate's carefully constructed world, exposing vulnerabilities she had worked tirelessly to conceal. The contrast was inescapable. Where Meghan commanded a room with articulate grace and effortless poise, Kate found herself struggling to express herself with the same clarity and confidence, a disparity that became painfully evident during their first joint public appearance. This gap in communication and presence gnawed at Kate's sense of self-worth, awakening a deep-seated insecurity about her own abilities to compete intellectually and emotionally. But beneath this surface, anxiety lay something far more sinister, a paralyzing fear of losing control, not just over Harry, but over the entire royal family dynamic that she and William had worked to maintain and manipulate. Kate had calculated that Harry would remain perpetually available, a backup plan should her marriage falter. Yet here was a woman who had actually captured his heart and secured his commitment. The realization that Harry had chosen someone who was not only beautiful but also accomplished, articulate and independent struck at the core of Kate's insecurity. She was no longer indispensable, no longer the only woman capable of managing him, and no longer guaranteed her position of superiority within the family hierarchy. Catherine's unwelcoming behaviour toward Prince Harry's romantic partners was not merely a private family matter. It was a deliberate and calculated pattern that extended to every woman who came into his life, from Chelsea Davy to Cressida Bonus, and most notably to Meghan Markle. This hostility was neither subtle nor unknown. It played out publicly for the world to witness, documented in photographs, interviews, and the observable dynamics between the couples. Kate's systematic coldness toward these women served a singular purpose: to maintain Harry's dependence on the royal family structure and ensure he remained tethered to the institution rather than forming independent bonds that might lead him away from royal control. By actively attempting to drive away each woman who captured Harry's affection, Kate and William sought to preserve a status quo in which Harry remained compliant and available to serve their interests. This pattern of behaviour, the unkindness, the exclusion, the barely concealed jealousy, was widely acknowledged and publicly documented, making it impossible to dismiss as mere personality clashes or family misunderstandings. The truth, evident to those willing to see it, was that Kate viewed Harry's romantic partnerships as threats to her own position and power within the royal hierarchy, and she was determined to eliminate those threats by any means necessary. Behind the glittering facade of royal duty and family loyalty lies a calculated conspiracy that has finally come to light, one orchestrated by William and Kate to ensure Harry would remain perpetually unmarried and subservient to their needs. From the very beginning, their strategy was clear. Harry was never meant to find love or build his own life. Instead, he was cast as their personal support system, their footstool, to prop them up whenever their marriage faltered or their position felt threatened. Kate, in particular, harboured a calculated hope that if Harry remained single and available, he would eventually turn to her in moments of vulnerability. A backup plan she quietly cultivated while maintaining a facade of sisterly concern. She worked tirelessly to undermine every relationship Harry pursued, from Chelsea to Cressida, creating hostile environments that were designed to drive away any woman who threatened the carefully constructed control they had over him. The plan was insidious in its simplicity. Keep Harry isolated, keep him dependent, keep him bound to the royal family with no escape route through love or marriage. Yet what Kate and William failed to anticipate was that Meghan possessed the strength, intelligence, and independence that shattered their illusion of control. She could not be intimidated, dismissed, or driven away like the others, and her arrival exposed the true nature of their conspiracy for all the world to see. The mounting evidence of William and Kate's marital discord can no longer be ignored or swept under the palace rug. Recent photographs and incidents, particularly the telling image of William arriving at Kensington Palace, with only George and Charlotte in tow, absent Kate and Louis, paint a damning picture of a couple living separate lives, a situation that most observers believe has persisted since 2023, with the December 28th incident serving as a crucial marker of this fracture. Yet, rather than address their relationship openly and honestly, the couple has engaged in a calculated strategy of deflection, with a suspicious barrage of stories resurfacing from the past, designed to rehabilitate Kate's image and distract from their obvious estrangement. The timing is far too convenient to be coincidental. Whenever their personal troubles threaten to dominate headlines, suddenly new narratives about Kate emerge. Stories meant to shift public focus away from the uncomfortable truth of their separation. This continuous dance of deflection and lies has become their trademark response, a desperate attempt to maintain the illusion of marital harmony while the reality of their fractured relationship grows increasingly impossible to conceal. The Waleses must abandon this exhausting charade and simply announce what the evidence already screams: their marriage is over. Since departing from the constraints of royal life, Harry and Meghan have demonstrated a remarkable capacity for achievement that starkly contrasts with the stagnation that has plagued the Wales household in recent years. While William and Catherine have struggled to move forward, the Sussexes have cultivated a thriving existence in California, successfully raising their children, Archie and Lilibet, with independence, authenticity and purpose that the restrictive royal environment could never have permitted. From their groundbreaking media ventures to their humanitarian initiatives, Harry and Meghan have built something genuinely meaningful, accomplishments that speak to their drive, intelligence, and refusal to be confined by institutional limitations. These achievements serve as a powerful testament to the toxicity they escaped, revealing that the royal family's environment was never conducive to genuine growth or freedom, but rather designed to control, suppress, and diminish those who dared to think differently or refused to conform to its suffocating traditions. The stark reality is undeniable. The Sussexes have flourished precisely because they freed themselves from a system that thrived on jealousy, manipulation, and the systematic dismantling of anyone perceived as a threat to its carefully constructed hierarchy. It is abundantly clear that Kate and William need to cease their relentless fixation on the Sussexes and finally announce what the public already knows: their separation, rather than continuing this exhausting pantomime of unity while simultaneously engaging in deflection tactics and leaked narratives designed to distract from their own crumbling marriage. The reality is that Meghan and Harry are thriving thousands of miles away, building meaningful careers, raising their beautiful children, Archie and Lilibet, and accomplishing more in recent years than the Waleses have managed in decades. They are no longer affected by or concerned with the petty dynamics of the royal family that once consumed so much of the narrative around them. The public must stop falling for these transparent deflection narratives, the rehashed stories from the past, the conveniently timed revelations about Kate's interactions with Meghan, the strategic leaks designed to rehabilitate her image, and instead demand honesty and accountability from those in positions of power. We deserve better than this continuous dance of lies, and the Waleses must finally acknowledge the truth of their situation, rather than using the Sussexes as pawns in their game of misdirection and control. If this perspective resonates with you, make sure you're subscribed. This channel is dedicated to thoughtful, unapologetic commentary that challenges the narratives we're constantly fed. If you'd like to support the work even further, super thanks are always appreciated. They help keep this space independent, focused, and able to continue producing content that isn't filtered through palace talking points or tabloid agendas. Your engagement, likes, comments, shares, and support truly makes a difference. And as always, let me know your thoughts below. The conversation doesn't end here.